From the KELOLAND Digital Desk, I'm meteorologist Scott Mundt, and you are watching Weather or Not. In today's episode, we'll talk about the drought that came out last week and also look at our rain chances. It seems like it's been quite some time since we've had some rain move through parts of KELOLAND. We'll have our pattern for the next 2 weeks and that infamous snow trend looking a little more interesting, of course, as time goes by. Far from seeing snow yesterday, we set some records across the area in eastern and southeastern KELOLAND. I listed a couple of the cities: Watertown, Marshall, Mitchell, Sioux Falls, and Worthington. All set records with afternoon highs in the upper 80s to the lower 90s. You see a high of 92 in Mitchell and Sioux Falls, 88 Watertown, 90 in Worthington. We had a high of 89 in Pierre, 93 in Huron, and 90 in Rapid City. Thick cloud cover today, covering eastern South Dakota. That will help keep our temperatures down, but still above average for all of us. We'll have temperatures in the 80s, a chance for 90-degree heat today in Phillip, maybe staying in the 70s in and near Watertown. I think our going high temperature is 79 for Watertown. And notice how Futurecast trying to bring in maybe a scattered shower or two. The atmosphere is very, very dry. I think we know that. So anything that tries to get going will have a hard time hitting the ground. Just don't be too surprised if you do get a light rain shower in your area as we get into the afternoon and evening. The evening is probably the best chance we have at getting a light rain shower in eastern and southeastern KELOLAND. At the same time, we'll have sunshine, western, central, northern South Dakota. We'll bring the sunshine back for tomorrow. Temperatures remaining warm, and these warm or hot temperatures will continue Thursday into Friday. Even a chance that we could set records again by the time we do get into Thursday or Friday, with numbers returning to the lower 90s. Forecast for today. I mentioned it will be cooler. We do have thicker clouds in eastern, southeastern KELOLAND. I think we'll still see periods of sunshine from time to time. A high of 83 in Sioux Falls and Huron, 84 in Aberdeen. I mentioned that 79 in Watertown. 87 with sunshine today in Pierre, 90 in Phillip, and 88 in Rapid City. Tonight, temperatures will fall to the 50s and 60s for overnight lows. That happens with clearing skies in eastern KELOLAND. Coming up next, we'll talk about the drought and our chances for rain as we go through this weekend. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. You know, we can use some rain across the area. I know we're into, harvest time. Just bringing in a couple of the sound effects I'd like to bring in from time to time. But I know a lot of people have been in the fields. I made a trip back to Illinois, driving through southern Minnesota. I noticed a lot of people are out in the fields taking in some of the harvest. And why not? It's been dry. Crop has been drying down. So they're taking advantage of the time that they do have. But let's talk about our drought conditions and our chances for rain. Looks like as we do go into this weekend, we do have better chances for rain. We want to start things off with our monthly precipitation. Now, this goes through yesterday, and of course, we're not calling for any substantial rain today. There may be an isolated shower or two, but it won't add up to too much. So you do see our monthly total here, 6.5 inches in Mobridge. 4 3/4 in Pierre, some of the wettest ground in central to north central South Dakota. Wettest for the month in and around Mobridge. I think that holds true in Pierre. If not, I know it's in the top 5. And look at the dry conditions here in the southeastern South Dakota. Sioux Falls at around 1/4 inch. That's good for, I think, in the top 5 for driest Septembers. Watertown settled down a little bit, about 1.5 inches for the month and around 1.5 inches in Rapid City. So how does this compare to average, to the climate average for September? Well, you do see that, of course, being well below in southeastern South Dakota. And we'll say anywhere from Huron, Mitchell, Sioux Falls. You could even throw in Watertown, east central South Dakota, getting close to about 1 inch below average for September. But, of course, we are well above Mobridge, De Pere, even Winter 1.5 inches above. That was nice to see. Valentine, same thing, over 3 inches above what they usually see in September. And you see close to the average across western South Dakota to include Rapid City, and about 1/3 below their climate average in and around Pine Ridge. So here's the latest drought monitor. Of course, this is assessed on Tuesdays, comes out on Thursdays, and this was, of course, from last week, showing those dry conditions from southwestern South Dakota and the south central KELOLAND with that moderate drought category near Chamberlain, but to the southwest of Chamberlain, it really stands out toward winter. So it was nice to see the rain for the month try to set up in the south central South Dakota, helping to alleviate some of that drought. But let's go ahead and change our view. South of Sioux Falls, look at that area. Yeah, it seems like been very dry there, and it has been very dry into those locations. Just some spotty showers, maybe even some thunderstorms over the past couple of weeks. So now they're starting to get into that dry category when you look at the drought monitor in southeastern South Dakota, just south of Sioux Falls. This next graphic is what's fallen over the past 7 days. You can see, yeah, we've had our dry skies. Maybe the hills in the western South Dakota able to generate a couple of scattered showers or thunderstorms into those locations that they've been able to bring in some measurable rain for that area. We do have some rain coming. I went ahead and labeled this as weekend rain. This is as cooler air comes in for this weekend. Okay, it will start across southwestern South Dakota, eventually try to move into central and northeastern KELOLAND. Just a slight chance of what we have in the forecast, around 20% to see something in and around Sioux Falls. That's the way it looks right now. The best bet to get wet, southwestern to northeastern South Dakota. That's for this weekend. Let's go ahead and take this graphic full, because you notice on the marquee there, it takes us out for 2 weeks, so the next 14 days. I'll hit the button. Things are advancing here, okay? And look what happens. It more or less keeps that same area of rain that we have in the forecast for this weekend. It doesn't add to it. So hopefully, if you want the rain, you're able to receive some this coming weekend. If you don't want the rain, I know you're busy out in the fields, whatever, maybe we'll skip over you. You know, I think our chances are in the forecast 20 to 40%. But again, I think the best bet to get wet is trying to set up across southwestern South Dakota into northeastern KELOLAND. That's as these temperatures do cool, and we'll bring in more fall-like temperatures for this coming weekend. On Monday, we'll have numbers only in the 50s for highs in western South Dakota. Try to hold to those 60s, and I think we will. That's the way it looks right now in eastern KELOLAND. So, yeah, we'll feel a little more like fall for this coming weekend. Stay with us. We'll take a look at our weather pattern over the next 2 weeks on this latest edition of Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. It's time to talk about the pattern ahead. And something I'll do when we go through this is I'll bring up some model data too, because I want to show you what they're doing for overnight lows as we go out here in the future. So here's a look at our 500 millibar pattern, picking up on low pressure systems, high pressure systems, troughs, and ridges in the atmosphere that help tell us what the weather is supposed to do. So as we go through time here, and again, this goes out about 2 weeks, you do notice that we have a low-pressure system that moves through for this coming weekend that helps bring in our chances for rain. But there's also a system that comes in here from Canada, and that will eventually move through for the second weekend of the month. And that's of particular interest because that's when I would not be surprised if we get our frost or freeze, maybe during that second weekend of October. That's actually late as compared to what usually happens here. So let's go ahead and stop this a couple of times and try to explain exactly what's going on. So we have low pressure to our southwest, right there over northern California. Now, this will be the area of low pressure that eventually swings into the central United States and meets up with some colder air coming in here from the northwest, and all that will combine to bring in, I would say, a better chance for rain as we do go through this coming weekend. So you do notice how that moves into the upper plains, meets up with that colder air. I know the precipitation is not on this weather map, but we do have it on our forecast. And then we change the view here because we have another area of low pressure. I don't know if you saw it swing around from Canada here. So it settles right here Tuesday, the 14th. So that's the middle of the month. But we had this swing around a secondary low. And I think as that happens, that will help bring in that reinforcing shot of cold air for the second weekend of the month. And that's when I do expect to see that colder air to come in. Okay, before then, we have this going on. Well above average temperatures. We have that for this week going into the weekend. It slowly changes as we do get into Sunday. Okay, you do see the well above average temperatures there across eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, and into Iowa, eastern Nebraska. There's our rain. You can see that trying to set up across southwestern South Dakota and the eastern, northeastern KELOLAND. I think the best chance for that is late in the day, Saturday, going into Sunday, to see this rain chance move across the area. Behind it, yes, we do cool. Monday, highs in the 50s, 60s, but I think we quickly warm, and you could see that here as well. Back above average. In comes that second weekend of the month. And this is the one that I'm trying to highlight for you too. So there's that secondary area of low pressure. If I hit the button again, does it continue? Okay, continues here, comes swinging through well below, I almost said well above, but well below temperatures here throughout much of the central, southern United States, all the way down to Texas. Of course, us here in the central and northern plains over toward the Great Lakes, showing those temperatures being below average. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a website that we like to look at when we're looking at some of these temperatures. Now, this is for Sioux Falls. Now, this is going out not quite into that second weekend of October, but it's already pointing to an overnight low of 34 degrees on the 7th. Maybe as we get into early next week, we know we're supposed to cool on Monday. We'll see how cool or cold we get going into Monday night, Tuesday morning. And this is taking it off the Canadian model. That's the model that it seems to be a little colder than the other ones, which is okay because we've always said that the models have a hard time picking up on this cold air when it's forecasting so far out. So let's go back to that webpage. And then again, there is that temperature of 34 degrees into Tuesday morning. Okay, and look at those afternoon highs in the 60s. So yeah, we'll start to feel like fall, as it should, as we get into October. Now, is that, let me try to bring up another one for you. Let's try the European, see how cold that one gets. I want to do a different time. There we go. So early next week, those are the overnight lows near 40, Monday, Tuesday morning. But you may be looking at this. This is that second weekend of October, lower 30s. And keep in mind what I said. Models have a hard time picking up on cold air. Look at that high, 49. And this is for Sioux Falls. Let's change this to Aberdeen. Okay, lower, middle 30s, that second weekend of the month, afternoon highs, low to middle 50s, 40s holding there as we get into the 13th of October. Before then, again, this is Aberdeen. We can see those temperatures for overnight lows in the 30s. Early next week, that's Monday, Tuesday, showing 37. High temperatures in the 50s and 60s. Let's bring in Rapid. Okay, this is Rapid City. Lows Sunday to Monday in the 30s. Afternoon highs in the 50s. And then during that second weekend, we have lows falling to near 40, we'll say. And then again, this is off the European model. The Canadian model doesn't go that far out, but let's go ahead and bring that one up too. See, there's that low 32 early next week on Tuesday. You see that dip we have in the temperature, 55 for Sunday. So that's that colder air coming this weekend. Notice how we quickly rebound. You may remember that graphic showing that warming temperatures do return until we hit the following weekend. Then we'll see those temperatures fall again. Just a matter of how much we fall after that as to how cold we get. So that's something we'll watch as we have that snow trend coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back to Whether or Not. It's that time. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about that snow trend. As we are looking at the snow depth across the area, don't see anything showing up as we do go into our 2-week forecast. Oh, look at this. This is looking a little interesting. Maybe into the hills of western South Dakota. We'll see if that materializes. But I did notice that this morning, too. Let's get a little bit closer. Okay, you can see that. Maybe for the southern hills, we might be able to pick up on some snow for this coming weekend, probably across the highest elevations of the hill. So that's something that we'll monitor. So don't be surprised if we start to talk about snow in the forecast, as we should. Okay, it's October tomorrow. So what? This is what it is. Okay, let's go back to the graphic then. So we'll see if that happens. Let's go ahead and expand the view. As you can see, better chances. See, this is looking more widespread as compared to what I've been showing for the past 2 weeks. So that's picking up on that colder air, that low-pressure system coming out of the southwest to help increase the chances we have at least seeing a little bit of snow. And we've been showing this chart, and these are the updated numbers. The chance of seeing, we'll say, measurable snow, okay? This is what it looks like as we do go over the month of October. And I just split it up to the 10th, 20th, and 30th. Just think of it as a percentage. We're looking at about 100 members here on the European model, suggesting when we can get that measurable snow. Well, it doesn't look like it will happen through the 10th of October in Sioux Falls. Give it about a 3% chance through the 20th, and through the 30th, give it about a 20% chance of getting measurable snow. But it's a lot different in Rapid City, isn't it? It's about, we'll say 25% for the first week and a half of the month. Then it goes up to 64%. And then there are only 9 members not showing snow, measurable snow, through the 30th of October. Keep this in mind, too. The climate average is around 1.5 inches in October in Sioux Falls. So this isn't unheard of. Climate average in Rapid City for the month of October is 3 inches. So we are looking, again, better chances to see that snow across western KELOLAND. What has the trend been? This is what we are looking at for that trend. The chart here is getting a little bit smaller, so keep that in mind because we just continue to add these days going forward. I have my nerdy look there as I kept track of this during my time off too, able to bring up the model and plug in some of these numbers. So what we have here on the chart is just an average. It's less than 1% that we'll see something through the 10th, through the 20th. It averages out to be 7, and through the 30th, it averages out to be about 23. And, of course, that number later in the period has been more consistent with bringing in our snow chance, I should say, of seeing measurable snow. So it's around 25% that will have measurable snow in the month of October in Sioux Falls. How about Rapid City? Well, Rapid City, it averages out since, we'll say about 2 weeks ago, to about 21% chance. Through the 10th, through the 20th, it goes up to a little bit north of 50%. And then for the month, we'll say it's around 82, 83% chance of seeing measurable snow in western South Dakota. Again, not unheard of, as it is the month of October. So again, don't be too surprised if we do start to throw out that snow in the forecast, as we'll continue to follow this trend. This is what I look at, again, going back to this website here. These are the different members on the European model going through time here at the bottom of your screen as we go through the month of October. So these models up here bringing in our chance for measurable snow, and I've been adding these up as they do show up from time to time over the past 2 weeks. Again, a lot of this coming in at the end of the month. So that's a look at Sioux Falls. You can see as we change over to Rapid City, a lot of those members coming in around the 30th. I said it was around 82, 83%. So we'll take this line right about here. I think I only counted like maybe 9 members not showing any snow during that time. Okay, how about, this is Custer. Okay, about the same thing with Rapid City, but We are looking at that snowfall outlook that I showed you, bringing in those snow chances for the hills of western South Dakota. Try to bring this graphic back up for you, too. See how that fills in across western South Dakota? Right there. Okay, and that's for this coming weekend. So we'll have to watch that as we do go through this weekend. In fact, I do want to bring up maybe a different graphic here, at least a map, to help show that and maybe go through a couple of different forecast models. So let's bring up our surface winter, total snow, and then we'll see if this does fill in. Yep, there it goes. It does fill in. Can I bring up a closer look? No, but I'll go ahead and bring up the website for you. There we go, into the hills of western South Dakota. That's this weekend. And this is taken off of the European model, as we'll take a look at, let's see what the American model is saying for this. As we'll bring this, we'll go just to the GFS, try to bring this forward in time. It's not showing anything on the American model, even as we get out to about the middle of the month. So, again, what does this all boil down to? From what I just showed you, don't be overly surprised. And when we start to bring in snow to our forecast, when you start to hear that a little bit more on the newscast, as things we'll probably see a couple of wet snowflakes. Wouldn't be surprised to see some photos, and you can always send those to us as well with any snow that you may be receiving for the highest elevations of the hills as we do go through this coming weekend. So things are changing. In the meantime, we'll have the heat, and the heat will be on. That's our time for this latest edition of Weather or Not. Enjoy your day.